What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle. It has been a minute since we've done a video. I'll talk about where I've been and all that some other time. Right now, we're going to break down this Darkest Dungeon 2 trailer. Red Hook put this out a few days ago, and this is like the earliest opportunity I've had to make a video about it. I have watched it, and then I've watched it a few more times, so I'm probably like at 10 playthroughs or whatever of this one video just to make sure that I fully understand what I'm seeing, and I've gone through it, like slowly with each frame and stuff. So I'm going to break this down for a viewing pleasure because there are some things in here that are fun to speculate about, but there are also some confirmed things that we do have to talk about, so you know the changes that are coming in Darkest Dungeon 2 in case you're not aware. We'll talk about some of the reasons why. It's only a minute, so there's not too much to dive into, but otherwise I'm not going to play the trailer from like start to finish. I'll play parts of it, but if I play it start to finish and just don't say anything, for instance, that's just going to be like a copyright strike. And I'm not dealing with that. So we are going to, I guess, get started. So we're going to scroll through here, and I'm just doing this by hand. So Red Hook animated logo now. Very cool. And so this starts off kind of like you'd think the snow flurry, but then it's got sparks, so you're thinking like fire. The first trailer had the snow flurry, so it's talking about the mountains and the snow and all that. And so here, nothing too much going on, just cool artistic stuff, town in ruin. And then we get the first look at a new enemy. I could say presumably a new enemy. I'm just going to say it's a new enemy. And this character is pretty cool, and all the other ones do follow this theme for this video. So if we're looking here, this is looking like a new cult of some kind. It doesn't seem to be the cult from the first game. The cult from the first game has a different symbol. They had the stress symbol, which was like on their hats and all that. So this is a different symbol, but this is still cult-like behavior. We're going to scroll ahead a little bit and come back. And the reason is you see a lot of the people here have these hoods with different symbols, but they're like a different group. But this one here is probably the most important. For one, we get the best detail on like what they look like, and probably some hints as to, I don't know, their themes and potentially motivations. I don't know. They seem obviously evil, but if we're looking here, the skin on this person is melting off. It's like liquidy here, and I can't quite tell if they're just wearing the skin over other skin, like someone else's skin on top of theirs, or if the top layer of their flesh is melting off and they're just like decaying under here. Very interesting too, we have fire in the headdress, because the flame was the theme of the church in Darkest Dungeon 1. So the Crusader and Vestal are representatives of that. I know Flagellant too and Leper, they're religious characters, but I think the Crusader and the Vestal are the most important, and we're going to talk about them too probably near the end, but they're actually very important. And I'm wondering if something happened with the church and they like corrupted and just became this, different cult-like entity. I might be reading too much into it, but obviously we have a new cult here. And very cool looking outfit, just flayed bits of people, but a lot of arms too. I wonder if there's like some kind of specific need for the arms or like the skin of arms. But otherwise, this looks like some kind of spellcaster. This here too, I didn't notice this until the very end. This is actually, like, I saw this, but then its relevance didn't really show up to me until the end. So this is some kind of spellcaster, presumably. And so this might be, I'm assuming blood, potentially oil if there's fire, but I'm assuming it's blood. And so, just some kind of blood magic sorcery. Very cool and thematic for this universe, I feel like. So I think we get to move away from the spellcaster here. And then we got, I can't tell if this is a giant-sized enemy. There is one giant-sized enemy, but this kind of proportionally looks about the same size. So this may just be some kind of different unit, but we see the same thing, right? They have the melted skin just dripping off of them. It looks disgusting. I think it's fantastic. And then we got this giant jug of, I'm thinking, blood. Again, this could be oil. And, carry a big thing of oil. You got fire, light the oil on fire and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure it's blood. So why they're carrying a giant jug of blood, I'm not sure. Also different symbols for this this cult stuff. So I can't remember if I've seen this either, but you know, the placement of this is like definitely occult type of stuff. It's this like mind's eye, or you know, third eye placement, you know, above the forehead or above the eyes on top of the forehead kind of thing. So this looks like, I'm assuming, some kind of melee unit. Also, is this like a spike? I just noticed this coming through them. You know, like, is this impaled all the way through them and they just like dump it? I don't know. That's kind of cool. So we see, this is probably a zombie. We're gonna see the zombies here in a sec. We're gonna scroll through. This person, I'm assuming, is another cultist, but there is a world where I think this is leper just because of the head. You know, very leper hood. And then we have like a one-hand sword and a shield. Maybe leper went with that. And also this kind of like the leper leg plate right here. But this actually looks like a fist weapon. Okay. This makes more sense. I'm pretty sure this is a cultist now. I thought it was a leper for like 2 seconds, but maybe it's a cultist. So not occultist, by the way, a cultist. And so we come over here, and this looks like our first look at a giant enemy. I'm pretty confident this is like a 2 or 3 space enemy. I'm going to say 2. But just big melted flesh giant. Also, this doesn't really have a hood, I think. It doesn't have the same symbol as this one does. So this is probably like some kind of created abomination. And then these, I don't think are bombs. Like, they're little bags, but what are in the bags besides our hopes and dreams and maybe just decorative purposes? This next cultist person just looks pretty cool. Looks like a pretty standard melee unit. Like, an assumed melee unit. I love the looks of these enemies though, like the whole melted flesh theme, the disfigurements, like the iron or the steel that all their stuff's made out of. It's absolutely horrifying. So here we get our first look at some zombos. It seems like we're not going to see our favorite, you know, bone guys from the ruins quite yet. We have a different type of undead, but it's interesting because in Darkest Dungeon 1, the necromancer is responsible for the undead. And so, you know, you fight the necromancer, but then, like, what is going on since then? You know, are there more necromancers, right? Just the power of necromancy. So that's kind of interesting because it went from like a singular boss to just this theme for this game. Potentially, this is all speculation, right? But you know, who's making these zombies right now? They do look pretty cool. Like, they're very simple. You just have this cloth deal. I don't even know if you can see my mouse cursor, actually. I'm, like, scrolling over stuff and moving it around, but I think I forgot to click capture cursor, but whatever. So, yeah, the zombies look pretty cool. And I like the actual lead-in with this trailer. So we start off with the zombies, and then we get to the heroes. Dramatic fade in of the man-at-arms here crushing a zombie, and then we get a much closer look at the detail. You know, it's kind of interesting because everyone else in Darkest Dungeon, you can't see eyes, and these zombies, this is why it looks so out of place. I couldn't think of why it looked out of place to me until like right now. And kind of reminds me of like a Telltale zombie or something, but they have eyes. It's not just blacked out. They have actual eyeballs. So that's, you know, they're shut. That's kind of weird. It's different. But this is important. So we're looking at the Man-at-Arms for the first time, and the characters are made differently in this game. So in Darkest Dungeon 1, they were, you know, 2-dimensional sprites. There's a lot of cool art stuff that happens with sprites. I'm a big fan of sprites. But there was, I think it was in the Escapist interview, or it was in some interview very recently, when they started talking about Darkest Dungeon 2. And Chris Barassa, he's the person in charge of the art for the game, and he said that when they're looking at changes they wanted to make for the game, he wanted to change the artistic direction. He was saying something to the effect of, you know, they could just keep the 2D sprites, make some changes, tweak some of the gameplay systems, slap a 2 on the game and ship it out, and people would probably like it. But he said that they wanted to really push their limits and change it up for this game in terms of a lot of things that I don't think are core gameplay. I think it was the same person. I think Barassa said that the gameplay systems are going to be similar to the first game, which, you know, the first game is pretty much all about combat, so I don't expect them to change it too much. There will be changes, obviously, but I don't know how many. You know, I'm actually cutting this ramble off right there because I don't quite understand all the nuances of art. I am not an artist, but basically they just have 3D models that are white, and the way it was done is just like painting all of this stuff on this model. But the reason these 3D models are relevant, you can't really tell they're 3D here quite yet. I don't know if these are 3D. They might be, but this is 3D, and then the rest of them are definitely 3D. So you're gonna see why. Actually, I'm gonna play this part here, so let's just take a look at it.
Heroes. Look instead to those battered souls.
So we'll stop it right there. But that's like when you really tell that it's 3D, is when you get Plague Doctor. So it comes in. Actually, can I use next frame? Yeah. So this is really awesome. And so what is likely the case is these are going to be the in-game models for the characters. So this isn't like other trailers where they spice up the models or they make specific, movie quality or whatever things for the trailer. This is most likely the in-game models. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed. So it's fantastic. They look awesome. They did such a good job on these. And so you get to see a couple of them. And then also this part of the trailer is really just Red Hook saying, hey, look, we got the 3D stuff down. Check it out. We figured it out. And it's going to look great. So I'm very awesome, or not very awesome. I'm very happy about this. I think it's actually, this is kind of interesting here too, because if you notice here, we have like a pile of bodies and then we have these two, but like there's more stuff that happens. So it kind of goes around here and it's like, why is PD just dropping acid on like by her feet? This is going to turn into some game sins for a half second. And then here all of a sudden we have the Highwayman, who we couldn't really see behind the Man-at-Arms, so it's like, how did he get there? And then we go from him up here. Like, I don't think we could have seen this mound. Like, it doesn't go up from the start, right? So if we see here, like, there's nothing over here. This pile decidedly ends right here. There's a little bit back here. Maybe that's where they're going, huh? You can't really see it. Okay, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, okay. But anyway, so we have Highwayman looking fantastic. Again, same thing. Got the shot and the cut in the same turn here. Like it a lot. That gun looks huge, by the way. I don't think it was that big in the first game. But they wanted the models to look like they kind of grew up a little bit. And they're definitely, just bigger and probably more normal in proportion. In Darkest Dungeon, they had like smaller legs and then bigger upper bodies. So this is definitely normal in terms of the proportional lengths here. And then, of course, the best scene in this trailer is Grave Robber. I don't think we have to argue why or why not. It's just great, very stylish, killing people. I'm glad she's been in 2 different trailers, so that means she's back in the game. My personal favorite character. This enemy here looks like another fist weapon and a spear, probably just looking cool. I'm not quite sure what their deal is. So we have zombies, cultists, that's pretty much all the enemy types here. And then this here, actually I'm not gonna bury the lead here. So this is a cultist who looks, great. And this here. So in the first game, there's a cult that you're battling. They're one of the main enemies. And then you get an occultist. So same kind of thing, but the occultist is like a cultist that's on your side. He even has similar moves to like the cultist witch in terms of phone, please. The cultist witch has the pull with the tentacle, and the occultist has the same thing, the daemon's pull. So like portal opens, tentacle comes out. So there's a lot of similarities between the occultists and the cultists in the first game in terms of probably themes. But instead of deciding to destroy the world, the occultist that you get seems like he's bent on at least being positive or trying to help. But the similarities between the cults in this trailer, or the presumed cult in this trailer, and the occultists are still kind of like the first game. where, as we were talking about before, the cults at the start of this video, you know, they have like hanging flayed arms or whatever on, you know, that cultist sorcerer or whatever has it just hanging off of them. And then here we have arms reaching up towards the occultist. This is the only person that's getting arms. Everyone else is standing on like a mound of skulls, right? And so we come up here, and since there are arms coming up for the occultist, he might be the same type of idea as the first game, where he's kind of like dialed into the same source of power. And I actually noticed this right before I started recording. So we were saying before that the cultist at the bottom, the first one you see, it looks like they're summoning a rush of blood or something, like a blood wave. And the occultist here, not only does he have the hands reaching up for him, he has blood coming out of his arm. So like this is some kind of blood magic. So whatever magic the cultists in this game are tuned into, the occultist is likely tuned into the same thing. So I'm wondering if, again, there are some similarities there. So it's probably just some kind of you know, artistic direction, most likely. But, you know, it's, like I said, fun to speculate on that. And I think those similarities are pretty cool. So the trailer just runs out here, and we get to see a huge town. So in the first trailer, we saw a mountain, and then this one we're seeing a town, and they're talking about journeying and stuff like that. So it's probably going to be a type of campaign where maybe you take the stagecoach and you go off to different places, put out some fires, or I'd like some kind of open world aspect, kind of like where you tackle stuff at your own pace. And then maybe there's a time-based aspect to traveling, you know, like certain quests are only available a certain amount of time, or it's like XCOM where you have to like pick and choose which fires you put out. You know, I think that would actually be really good in this game, or fun at least, but you know, I'm going to trust Red Hook's decision making. But yeah, so we have this open world type of aspect. We're definitely not just chilling in the hamlet anymore. And as I said, this trailer starts to run out. You get the logo flash. It's a little different. You can see the 2 in the torch here, and I think this is a different font. So, little changes here. Let me scroll ahead, and then there's Epic Games, which some people are up in arms about, and I'm not here to argue for or against that. But let's go back to the title shot. So I don't just leave it on Epic Games and everyone gets mad. The thing that's been important in both of these, let's actually scroll back to. Let's go back to the first cultist. So I brought up the idea of the cults and the church and the fire and stuff like that. And the reason I think it's worth exploring is because in both the first trailer and this trailer, we have seen some of the characters, you know, from the first game that are making a return. We haven't seen evidence of new characters yet, which I'm sure there are going to be new characters, but probably when it's like close to being finalized or something like that. We have not seen Crusader, and we have not seen Vestal in either of these. And I think it'll be interesting if that is the storyline, like something happened to the church, then maybe finding Vestal and Crusader become a major plot point type of thing. Like I could really see a mission, you know, 10% into the game or halfway through the game or something like that, where you get Crusader back. Like you have to go free him or something like that. You have to go free Reynold. Who knows? But I think it's pretty important that we haven't seen any sign of Crusader or Vestal yet, since they are the faces of the religious characters. You know, like Flagellant's DLC, so I don't know if you can really lump them into that. And then Leper, we saw in the first trailer, he's a silhouette. But also, you don't really think of Leper as a religious character. He is. You know, like the only time I learned he was religious is when, you know, I did a camp skill with Vestal and he got the bigger benefit. And I was like, oh, I guess he's religious. So we haven't seen those two. I'm wondering what's up with that. But I think that's it. So those are my thoughts. That's the trailer. If you have your own thoughts and stuff like that, throw them down below. Let me know what's going on. Love to hear from you. And as far as other videos go, I am working on some stuff. I do have some free time coming up, so I'm going to try and get some stuff out this week. I can do one for sure, and I'm working on a Blood Moon guide. I kind of shelved the Jester guide for right now, just because I've been too lazy to reshoot it. And yeah, so that's me. Thanks for watching. Join Discord and stuff like that if you haven't. And stay tuned for more Darkest Dungeon news and stuff. I'll see you later.